We are approximately 1 hour away from NHL free agent frenzy getting underway, but we already have some signings to take a look at today. We have a bunch of RFAs re-signing. We have a new coach announcement in Columbus, and we'll take a look at some of the UFA rumors we're expecting to see when a free agency officially opens, and that's coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have some signings here early today ahead of NHL free agent frenzy. These are all players that have re-signed with their existing clubs. And we do have a few rumors on some players that are expected to be going to new teams once the free agency period opens here. And I'm recording this about 1 hour ahead of time. Of course, there'll be a little bit of a processing time to get this on YouTube, so there'll be a little bit of a shorter gap there. Plus, like I said, we have a new coach in Columbus. We'll start with that. The Jackets today have finally officially named and announced and introduced Mike Babcock as the new head coach of the Columbus Blue Jackets. He signs a 2-year contract to become the head coach there. It's expected that his compensation is around $4 million a season, I believe, so around $8 million total. So that's a short-term deal. He himself was asked during the press conference and introduction today about that. He said that's all he needs. He said he had an 8-year deal before, which was probably way too long, and that he's quite happy and content. I think this is a bit of a, Columbus kind of going out on a limb here and seeing if they can find, a coach who was essentially very successful in his own right before. Obviously ran into some controversy with some of the tactics he used in Toronto, and we'll see. I guess they can use this as a bit of a short-term experiment. If it works well, they can extend them. If not, they can move on without having a ton of money in term tied up long-term. Babcock's officially introduced in Columbus. His contract with the Maple Leafs just finally expired yesterday. As I mentioned, we have a bunch of re-signings, including late last night after I put out my last news video, the Seattle Kraken had announced that they've extended goaltender Joey Daccord on a 2-year deal valued at $1.2 million per season, average annual value. I would say that Joey Daccord will progress into being full-time on a roster next year. Right now, Seattle has 3 goalies. Of course, they have Philip Grubauer, who's the number 1 highest paid guy. Joey Daccord just came off a remarkable run in the Calder Cup playoffs, coming within 1 goal of winning the Calder Cup. They went to the finals in Game 7 and ultimately lost to the Hershey Bears, but he was incredible himself with a remarkable performance. So this extension is more than well-deserved. He's put in his time with Ottawa, then he got taken by Seattle in the expansion draft. He's put in his time there for a couple of years, and he is ready for NHL duty, in my opinion. Of course, they also have Chris Driedger under contract as well for another year. Of course, Driedger missed a lot of time with a significant injury, and he'll be likely in camp battling with Daccord, I would think, unless they find a way to trade him. I wouldn't be shocked if that happens, but Daccord gets $1.2 million. If he goes on waivers, to me, he's going to be taken. So either Driedger stays in Seattle, gets put on waivers, and a little bit of his salary is buried, and he goes down to Coachella Valley, or he gets moved. Either way, I see Daccord in Seattle next year. The Detroit Red Wings have announced a few RFA re-signings. They signed Gustav Lindstrom and Klim Kostin, both who were not qualified, but obviously had agreements in place here. Gustav Lindstrom gets a 1-year deal, $950,000, and Klim Kostin gets 2 years, $2 million per season. So certainly, as much as that contract is not overly expensive for Kostin, the Oilers could not afford to pay him that. But after the way he performed in Edmonton, after arriving from St. Louis, I think that's a well-deserved contract. So certainly a good pickup there by Detroit. I know a lot of people, were myself included, were a little confused over they pick up Kostin and Yamamoto from Edmonton. They buy out Yamamoto. Kostin's not qualified. Like, what's going on here? Why would they do this? But obviously, Kostin's staying. And they also re-signed Matt Luff as well to a 1-year, 2-way deal. A couple of re-signings from RFAs in Ottawa this morning as well. Both defensemen. Erik Brannstrom gets a 1-year deal at $2 million. I thought maybe Brannstrom might get a little bit more term this time after a bit of a breakout season last year. But the money's fine, $2 million. I thought maybe he might get at least a second year, but obviously they want to, continue to have him prove himself over again. Jacob Bernard Docker, JBD, gets 2 years on a 1-way contract as well. So obviously he will be getting paid the bigger money, even if he ends up in Belleville. So he gets average annual value only $805,000. Obviously he's a little bit less proven than Brannstrom, so it makes sense on the money. Obviously he's still a piece that the Senators, I think, view as being a part of their top 6 decor long term. So good signings there. And not front, and a couple of UFA rumors that we're expecting here when free agent frenzy officially opens here shortly. It's rumored that the LA Kings are going to be signing goalie Cam Talbot on a 1-year deal. Don't know the money on that one, but looks like Talbot's going to LA. Florida appears to be signing Oliver Ekman-Larsson on a 1-year deal, somewhere around $2.25 million. And the Toronto Maple Leafs are signing Ryan Reeves for 3 years. I mean, that's shocking. I'm not shocked they would go after somebody like Reeves. Obviously, the best fighter in the NHL. Scary dude. Obviously, like I said, like a lot of teams don't really want to face him. But at the same time, offensively and defensively, he's just not very good, not very effective. He can fight for sure, and he's intimidating. But I don't know, 3 years at $1.35 million. That seems like an awful long time. And on top of that, he's going to be entering the season at age 37. So clearly, that just seems like a lot of term and money for what he provides. I like the idea that they're going after a player like him. I just don't know, but we'll get that confirmed here once the free agent frenzy officially opens. So lots more rumors floating around. There are all kinds of players likely changing teams, so stay tuned. We'll keep you up to date. I'll be posting videos periodically through the day with all kinds of free agent signings to review, and hopefully maybe we'll get some trades in there as well. All kinds of rumors still floating around about player movement, and we'll see where things go. Okay, that's all your news for now. So certainly let me know your thoughts in the comments. We'll talk further. If you're new to the channel, subscribe and stick around so you don't miss anything, and I'll catch you next time.